There we go. Yes, just equation, no graph. No, we're keeping it simple today. Just write the equation. The only ones that I am absolutely looking for your Chapter 7 packets after today are seniors. This weekend was a dumpster fire. I have been up since 2 a.m. right now. Whatever I had last week, Mama Bear went down this weekend. Pretty sure Baby Bear was again last night. So, yeehaw! Right at the beginning of the end of the year, right? That means I got only algebra done for grading. I do not have PreCalc done. I went through packets. I did not start any of the tests. So I am going to spend what little time I have in the next few days getting seniors taken care of. And then later this week, I'll dive in on the rest of your stuff. Okay? So later this week, I would say Wednesday or Thursday, please have your Chapter 7 packet in. Seniors, get that in today so that I can scroll through it quick, get your tests done, and your grade will be theoretically finalized after today, maybe tomorrow. Again, I'm gone tomorrow, so that means back to video. I really didn't want to, but I've got 3 different meetings tomorrow for different family stuff. Yeah, so you're stuck with video for tomorrow. And that'll be beginning of Chapter 6. Seniors, just come and hang out. If the sub's cool, they'll let you go. If they're not, they'll make you stay. I'll put in my notes that I ain't looking for you, but that's really up to the sub. Okay? Do we need more with this? Okay. All right. So let's see how much you got out of video past me when apparently all of this hellfire started. If I have a hyperbola, tell me you know things. What does a general form, not general form, standard form for a hyperbola look like? How many squared things are there? Are there denominators? Are there positives or negatives? 2 squared things. I heard equals 1. I heard they're both over something. Subtracting. Okay. In those binomials that are squared, you're going to have x minus h and y minus k. The order depends on, well, which way does this thing open, and how do I know? How do I know which way this thing opens? Okay, the vertices have y's changing. If the y's are changing, I gotta print it still, you gotta wait. Okay. What was I? Math and stuff? Oh, if the y's are changing, that means it's gonna open along the y-axis. or, and that means that y is first, then x. It also means that my a value, so a squared denominator, goes with y, because it's always the positive term with hyperbolas, but it's the bigger term with ellipses. And that's kind of a distinction between them. So that distance between those two vertices of 12 units is also 2a, because I a in both directions. So a is 6, and if a is 6, then a squared is 36. Additionally, the midpoint of those two vertices is going to get me my center. Frank's slightly cross-eyed. That's not going to make things any better. X minus a negative 3, so plus 3. And the midpoint of these two, add them up, divide by 2. 4. Okay. Here, let's change this color. Okay, so midpoint A, 5, we should be good to go. Out all of that information, just from saying hyperbola and here's vertices. Conjugate axis, what does that do for me? Okay, whereas the conjugate axis and the transverse axis are names in hyperbola, you have major and minor and ellipses. This just says conjugate axis to B is 6, so B is 3. Be careful to not just write 3, you're going to write 9. So, said we'd keep it simple for today. 1, you got your A value right, or your A squared and your B squared values right. 1, 4, you got the center correct. 1, 4, you got y up front. And 1, 4, you got the correct form, meaning you had a difference of rational expressions and it was equal to 1. Okay? 1 for the form, 1 for y goes first, 1 for a squared, 1 for b squared, 1 for center. Cool? Yes. One of the best of the 90s. He was a little more mainstream than others, but he also had hair like Medusa. It was great. Oop. Okay. Review. Everyone got one? Okay. You're going to notice that every one of these graphs is just blank grid paper. That's because I'm giving you the choice of how you want to do it. If you want to put your x and y axes right down the middle and then put things by a scale over to whatever points so that it is biblically accurate graph, go for it. If you just want to shove the center in the center and then count boxes, go for it. That's how I'm going to do it. Okay? So however you want, I'm telling you that there is enough grid space here, because that's how I made the problems, for you to just throw the center in the middle and then go to your relevant features. Okay? But if you want to put your normal XY axes on there and then go by coordinates, you can. So you do you. All 3 of these are written in, do you remember what that's called? That ain't standard. It says to write each of them in their standard form. I got to do a bunch of completing the square because they're all in general form. General form just says I write all of my crap in descending order, x squared, x, y, constant, 0. Or, in this case, some of them I think equal a constant. So general form or almost general form means you got to do that complete square business, and I've been harping on that all year long. Here it is, the test of your talents. I'll also tell you that I ain't going to be nice about which one's which on every form of the test, I hit a random number generator as to whether 1, 2, or 3 is going to be the ellipse, the circle, the hyperbola, or the parabola. They're mixed up. But I'm saying you're going to have 3 different kinds. No, you cannot just say number 1's a parabola, I'm going to do parabola stuff to number 1. You got to know what a parabola looks like in terms of its equation. How do I know this is a parabola? Well, x is squared and the other stuff too. Only, there you go. Only x is squared. So if only x is squared, then I will put the x stuff to one side and the not x stuff to the other side. I'll add 12y. I'll add 15. If there is a value other than 1, I'll divide by that. But in this case, there isn't, so I don't have to worry. I just get to complete the square. And having done that for a week straight, what is the magic number? B over 2 squared. Okay. Half of -6 is -3. -3 squared is 9. So I'll have a x minus 3. It's always the square root of c and half of b. Squared is 12y plus 24. Is that standard form yet? It's close. Factor out whatever the coefficient of y is, even if that results in nasty numbers inside the parentheses. I call that x minus 3. The quantity squared is 12y plus 2. Be careful. If this was like 23, then you would have a 23/12 inside the parentheses. And that's okay. I'll tell y'all, I made the problems the way they do in the book. I reverse engineered them. I started with the graph, wrote the equation in standard form, and then completed the square to get to the equation on every form of the test. They're going to have relatively decent numbers. Okay? I know that some of the practice problems that we did, I just throw like random radical crap in there. I didn't do that on the test. They're relatively nice. Okay? Now, if I've got this, we're in standard form. We need graph. Whoop. All right. So I got a parabola. Does it open up, down, right, or left? How do I know it's up? Positive 4p value, x is squared. Okay, so I'm going to do a parabola with, I don't know, I'll put my vertex here. If you want to write your information off to the side or you want to write it over here on the graph, again, I don't care which way you do it, up to you. I'm going to put my numbers here since I'm writing in such a large space. 3, -2. And if this is 4p, p is 3, I'm going to p in this direction for a focus, add 3 to my y values. And I'm going to p in that direction, 3 units for a directrix at y equals -5. We have a axis of symmetry that goes through focus and vertex. X's are 3's on both points, so x equals 3 is my line. Now I just need at least one point on either side of it to show my stretch or compression. And that was something that could be a little tricky if we don't just accept that my A for my stretch or compression is 1 over 4P. So A is 1/12. If it's a 1/12 compression, I can say over 1 up 1, 12th. Over 2 up 4, 12ths, which is a third. Over 3 up 9, 12ths, 3/4. Over 4 up 16, 12ths, 1 1/3. Over 5 up 25, 12ths, 2 1/12. Over 6 up 36, 12ths. So if you just have this point, if you know that 36 is a perfect square that's divisible by 12, then just use that point. Okay, that's all right. If you're a little bit off-road, that's fine. Okay, I think I made mine, yeah, I'm a little off-center here too. So if you just go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up 3, but then tell me what those points are if you're not using coordinate axes. So right 6 is 9, up 3 is 1. So this is at 9, 1. Left 6 is -3, up 3 is 1. If you just have those, we good. Okay? And then connect the dots, try to keep it curvy. Yep. We're looking at, I think it's 7 points each. Yeah. Where I'm looking at our different features, are they labeled? Do you got it? Do you got it? Do you got it? Do you got it? Do you got them? I'm looking back here in the equation, probably the equation itself, the work. If I remember right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah. Absolutely. As long as you have like VF, if you want to label these points like A and B or something like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. Yeah. And remember, keep them proportional. Don't just draw a generic figure and then label it. It's got to be proportional. That's why I have grid space there for you to count out the boxes, and that's why I made it with decent numbers. Be prepared. Can you do that when it's Y, when it's on the side? Because I've got I don't know how many different forms of this. Like, I just kind of, there's like a long chain that I've been adding to over the years of like 9 different forms of the test. And I just like roll a die, literally roll a die at my desk for which ones I'm going to choose for which forms for this semester. So you might get a parabola that is up, down, left, or right. Can you do it in all directions? Okay, can you do that with ellipses? And how do I know it's an ellipse? Yes. There's 2 squared terms, and there's no negative squared terms. So 2 positive squared terms means we got an ellipse, oval, bubble. So you group together X stuff and Y stuff. The 25x squared and 250x go here. Group together the Y stuff. 64y squared plus 256y is 719. Eliminate the Canadians. We have too many A's around here. So divide by 25 or factor out by 25. 25 x squared plus 10x, leave a space. Take out 64 and have the time of your life on the best game system ever made. Getting y squared plus 4. Who knows their powers of 4? Right, 4 squared is 16, 4 to the third, 64, 4 to the fourth is 256. Okay, you're still going to add b over 2 squared inside the parentheses because that's how you complete. Half of 10 is 5, 5 squared is 25. But did I really add 25? 25 by 25. Half of 4 is 2, 2 squared is 4. Did I really add 4? No. Okay. Does it come out decent? Oh, gross. That might have been... Oh, that was left over from a copy paste error. This should have just been 0. Okay, it should have just been 0. Right? Because doesn't that come up clean? Hold on. It's supposed to be 25. I think R is minus. Minus. 719. What are you talking about, Willis? It comes out clean. Yeah. I am way too tired for you to make me second guess myself like that. Blame Maddie. Yeah, because when you add the other stuff to it, it's 1600. Because I thought that someone said it divides stupid, and it didn't. Right? Because I am not in a physical or mental condition right now to have just a, yank down that trail. Okay, because 25 over 1600 is 64. Half of b, x plus 5 squared, plus 64 over 1600 is 1 over 25. Half of b gets me a y plus 2 squared is 1. Whew. All right. So it is an ellipse and ellipse has a center at, where's center? Okay. Boop. And if you want to do this instead, center is -5, -2. Okay, is it going to stretch horizontally or vertically? A squared is the bigger one with ellipses. This is a squared, so a is 8, so I'm going to go 8 in both directions along the x-axis. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I said it's very close. Vertex 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Vertex 2. So I'm going to add and subtract 8 to this guy, getting vertex 1 at negative 13, negative 2. Vertex 2 at 3, negative 2. Are we there?
We're getting. I have to adjust my scale.
Being a little off-road like that bother you? You know, what would be really funny is if the 3 leeches got 12 points today. And had to bring in food after the seniors were gone. No, come on. I just think it's funny. I'm not saying derail everything. All right. I also have B is 5. Bring it back. Come on. So we're going to go 5 in the other directions, north and south. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Co-vertex 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Co-vertex 2. So if I'm going 5 north and south, I'm going to add and subtract 5 from negative 2, my center. So co-vertex 1 is up at negative 5, 3. And co-vertex 2 is down at negative 5, negative 7. Draw the potato. Oof. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Okay. We got our potato. We're done, right? Okay. You have to remember that C is... Careful. Is it square root of a squared plus b squared or minus b squared? Minus with ellipses. 64 minus 25 is? So if it's the square root of 39, then that means, okay, about how far is 39? 6 and change. So I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and change. I can go for focus 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and some change. Focus 2. And then if you just want to write that the foci are at negative 5 plus or minus root of 39, negative 2, it's not going to get any cleaner than that. We just leave it as a compound number. Oh man, that looks even worse when I stand back. Oh, God, that's... I need a nap. Yo, as long as it doesn't look like a diamond, I don't care. Yeah, most of these look like Stewie heads. Yeah, you can tell what your dominant hand is and your writing style because of where it's curved and where it's not. Yeah. Okay. And then, what is it? How do I know? Okay, how do I know if something is a circle? X and Y are both squared, both have the same coefficient. So when you divide both of them, you'll end up with the same A and B values. So you just leave it over there as R squared. This is if I had like 36x squared and then plus 36y squared, if x and y are both squared and they both have the same coefficient, that means when I divide, they're going to end up being the same thing. If they're going to be the same thing, then don't do that. Just leave it over here as r squared. Right? You don't actually divide by the number to get 1 over there. You just leave it over as r squared, if it's a circle. This is a what? Hyperbola, not hyperbole. One's math, one's English. Okay, same thing. That's why I just went through it. You're going to have 3 things, and I don't remember what they are. It's going to be 3 of the 4 types of conic sections. I mean, if it is a circle, then you're in luck because you know what r squared is. Say the radius is like 5, you just, here's my center, go 5 in those 4 directions. You're done. You label the radius and the center. Skill issue, dude. So, I'm going to take out 36. Okay. Y'all, I see kids goof this every single time. When you take this coefficient out, please remember to watch your sign as you factor it out. Okay? Watch your sign as you factor out a negative 16. Most common error with hyperbolas. And then continue what you were doing from before. Half of negative 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 squared is 1. Did I really add 1? I add 36. Half of 4 is 2. 2 squared is 4. Did I really add 4? I subtracted 64. Yep. And what is that? 540, 576, which is 24? 576, right? Okay. 576, 576, 576, getting. When we divide this, it makes 16 and 36 respectively. I'm not very original. Don't assume that they come out like that on the quiz, but if I was trying to make it nice, they probably do. Okay? So just check. Don't assume. All right, this is x minus 1, the quantity squared, over minus y plus 2, the quantity squared, over is 1. When I divide to get 1 on the right side, then I just reduce the quantity 36 over 576. It happens to be 16. I reduce 16 over 576. It happens to be 36. Doesn't always work out that way. But a lot of the times it does because the problems are engineered that way. Whoop. All right. As Guru says, find your center. 1, negative 2. Okay. Whoop. So I have a center at 1, negative 2. Does this hyperbola open horizontally or open vertically? Horizontally along the x-axis. Positive. It's not the bigger one, it's the positive one. A squared is the positive term with hyperbolas. Okay? So that tells me that A is 4. So I'm going to A in those directions for 1, 2, 3, 4. A vertex at 5, negative 2. And I'm going to A in this direction, 1, 2, 3, 4. For a vertex at negative 3, negative 2. Wow, my points are really off. Good thing I'm on a smartboard. Cheater, cheater, pumpkin eater. And remember, these aren't actual features, but if B is 6, what that allows me to do is go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It allows you to create that box. Now, last week was a lot of video lessons. Thankfully, we were on a week that we could do that since Papa Bear went down. Pretty bad. How many of you actually liked the box? Where you're going, normally this would be like a covertex, but since there's not actually a covertex floating out there, we would just use this A and B to make where the corners of that box would be to create my asymptotes. Some kids like the box, some kids despise the box because it's just more writing on my graph. Okay? So I'm not sure what your jam is, but some kids like the box. Use that. To make your asymptotes. Okay? Now, this thing opens up pretty wide. Curl along the asymptotes, hit the vertex, curl along the asymptote. Curl along the asymptotes, hit the vertex, curl along the asymptotes. Okay? So this is like those old cartoons of like Garfield unhinging his jaw to eat the entire lasagna in one bite. Like it is way. Okay, or if you've ever seen the slow-mo videos of a snake actually biting someone, like how wide their face opens. Okay, this thing is very stretched. Remember, a part of drawing this isn't just I drew the asymptotes, you have to tell me what they are. Thankfully, we got good old point slope form from back in the day that says y minus k is plus or minus my slope, x minus h. The question is it a over b or b over a? Just do rise over run. Y's over x's. Whether it's a's or b's isn't as relevant as I went up 6 and over 4. So reduce it down to 3/2. Well, no, you have to show this, or you have to distribute and move stuff for two different slope-intercept forms. Because you can't just say distribute this and that's it, you're done. Because this is 3/2 times a -1 minus 2. -3/2 times -1 minus 2. They're going to be in two different locations because my 1 -2, so that's there's my axes. I can't just say plus or minus because look at where it's hitting. Two different locations. Okay? So the slope-intercept forms are going to be way different. They're going to have different y-intercepts. But if I write it in point slope form, I get to be lazy and just write plus or minus this. Now it's not in the form. Why? Like you can, you're not wrong, but why? All right, I'll take it. Like it's not one of my traditional forms of a linear equation. Remember, you have slope-intercept, point slope, and standard. This is one of my 3 traditional forms. That's why I'm leaving it like that. No, we just hadn't gotten there yet. Side quest. And then foci, a squared minus or plus b squared. Okay. So C is the square root of 16 plus 36. So 42, 52, 4 come out 13, 2 root of 13. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and some change. 4, 5, 6, 7, and some change. Because square root of 52 is going to be a little over square root of 49. So I'm going to say my foci are at 1 plus or minus 2 root of 13, -2. You will spend the majority of the test on just this front page. There's a lot of information going on. Yep.
Nothing I like more than good old Essex.
I don't know.
No. You get 12 days, you guys get this. Because you're getting them.
Okay. Next up, tangent lines. I was kind of debating. We cut a little bit of stuff out of 7 just because of time-wise, how many gaps from Algebra 2 and Geometry we've had to plug this semester. I was debating on a couple of different things we could have done here. I figured the tangent line is one of the more relevant ones for those of you headed into trig or physics. Because, like, particularly, this is the intersection of algebra and physics. So, tangent lines. Start by draw generic parabola. Will this, is it even in general, or is it in standard form yet? So not yet. I have to get rid of this guy, right? So dividing by a negative 1/4 is the same as multiplying by negative 4. Don't distribute it into these, just leave it out here in that 4p spot. Because dividing by 1/4 is multiplying by 4. So now do you know which way this thing opens? X is squared, so it's a vertical parabola. Negative 4p value means downtown. So draw generic parabola. This might not be drawn to scale. With a center at, or center, vertex at, we should have chosen different numbers. Okay. And it says it contains, what? No, that's my axis symmetry and my directrix. Okay. No, if I wanted to know where my origin was, that's like down here. Okay. So it contains a point 10.5. Where is that? From here, left or right, from 6 to 10. To the right, from 9 to 5, down 4. So it goes right 4, down 4. We have to use the focus to find the distance. So, thankfully, my 4p value is pretty easy to work with. P is -1, so we'll have a focus down 1 from here at 6, 8. And I said this is not drawn to scale. This distance from focus to the contained point is the same as that point back to directrix and from the focus back to magic point. Which one are we trying to find? We're trying to find that magic point because I don't need to know the equation of it. I got the equation of it. I need to find that magic point to get my tangent. Okay, so don't go back from the contained point. That's a different application. Instead, I'm going to go find that magic point. I'll move this out of the way. Here we go. I need to move that out of the way because we're about to find this tangent line. Pretend that that's a line. Okay. So first I need to find the distance. Distance formula, if you don't remember, x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. Or, does anyone recognize, I am not very original, Pythagorean triples? From 6 to 10. Or, from 8 to 5. 3. 3, 4, 5 triangle. So you can jam it into the distance formula, that's fine. Or, count boxes, or a little mental math and recognize the triple. So if that's 5, then I'm also going to go this way 5. What is 5 north of the focus? From the focus. No, just go 5 north of this. 13. And then go all the way back to pre-algebra, algebra half. How do I find the equation of a line between 2 points? Hey. Yeah, well, I'm a child of the 90s. I grew up back then. Like, I graduated in 2003. I can't hear someone just say, hold up, without just the rest of the song starting autoplay. Oh. Yep.
Even the dead mom Sandy.
Yep. I will still maintain that Nate Dogg had one of the most sonorous voices, like, in the history of music. But, are we there? I just got to make sure that we got that point. Someone said, hold up. Hey. I found the distance between the focus and the contained point. So I went 5 up from my focus. Off to the side, I'm going to go find my slope. Slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm sure there's a song for it. I'm not singing it. There's 5 minus 13 over 10 minus 6 is negative 8 over 4 is negative 2. I got a slope of negative 2. You just make the line however you were taught. If you plug in x, y, and m, go solve for b, cool. If you plugged it into point slope form, distribute add, cool. Whatever your jam is, I was always a point slope guy, where I'd say y minus, I'll just pick this guy, 5 is negative 2 by x minus 10, distribute add, minus 5 is negative 2x plus 20, y is negative 2x plus 25. Now, if you don't do it that way, but instead say, I don't know, y is mx plus b, where you have 5 is negative 2 by 10 plus b, 5 is negative 20 plus b, so 25 is b, and then go back, shove it back in. Like, whichever way you learn. This is pre-calc, not algebra half. Okay, it's whichever way you learned, go do it. Now, thankfully, number 5 is very easy.
It's the whole reason us finding this little unused point with that line is finding slope.
Yes. You're finding the tangent line. You're finding the line that is bullet grazing at this point. This is the introduction into calculus. It's called pre-calculus. That's literally the class. All right. Eccentricity was very simple. E is C over A. It's a comparison of how far to the foci versus how far to the vertices. In an ellipse, eccentricity is going to be from 0 to 1. Because when the eccentricity is 0, okay, eccentricity is how stretched it is. If the stretch of an ellipse is 0, that's a circle. If the stretch of an ellipse is 1, that means your foci are at the vertices, that's a line. And everywhere in between, you're going from this to this to this to this. Okay? In a hyperbola, the eccentricity is always going to be greater than or equal to 1. At 1, it's just 2 sticks. It's 2 vertical lines or 2 horizontal lines. Okay? That's it. And then it keeps bowing outwards. The bigger the eccentricity is, the more it gets pulled outward instead of the snake mouth again. Okay? So I just need to find the this. I need to know what C is for these 2 forms. This is an ellipse, so C is A squared minus B squared. In this one, C is A squared plus B squared. So I just need to compare those. Correct. So this guy, eccentricity is C over, be careful, what is A? Square root of 12. Now this one actually comes out very clean because they're both in radical town, so I can simplify them. Square root of 1 is 1, square root of 4 is 2. If you have to rationalize it, rationalize it. If you don't, don't. Okay, this one, eccentricity is C over A is square root of 23. Does 23 go into 95? Do they share any factors that I can simplify? Well, 23 is prime. I know that. So I have to now rationalize and get nastiness. Square root of over 23, 5, 1800, and 2070. If I got nothing. I've been up since 2185. You would just start everything underneath it. Divide by 2, divide by 3, divide by... Well, it's just, Yeah, over the course of your academic career, you would have spent a lot of time breaking apart numbers. For that one, yes. The other one's just 1/2, so I'd leave it. I heard 2185. That's what I wrote. No one corrected me. Yeah. All right. Cool. Here we go. Again, thank you all for bearing with me. It's been rough. Whatever I had, Mama Bear's got it, and oh, has it been a weekend?